Welcome to the channel. So today we're flying from Dubai to Manchester as Emirates Flight 21, a route that Emirates use either the A380 or the 777-300ER on. For those new to the 777 series, I'm going to show you some features that I encourage you to take advantage of, and some of these features are where we see a lot of questions, particularly from the new users. So we are all set up and ready to go. We're expecting a flight time of around 7 hours and 30 minutes. I've used Virtual Performance Tool to calculate our takeoff speeds. I want to show you the airport map, and this is a really useful feature, and it's free because you don't need a subscription to a nav data service for this. It reads the data within X-Plane. So we're going to go on to airport map, and I'm just going to show you how to pop out the EFB 777 menu. EFB, show or hide it. So like with all of the pop-outs, you've got pre-configured sizes starting with the smallest up to the largest. Appreciate this is just in Manchester, and that's because I messed up my recording. So if it did not show Manchester, I would go back to airport search, and what I tend to find is that the origin airfield is already showing. But if we had to search for it, do that, search ident, select it, and you're back in. So what can we do on here? What are the controls? Well, you can center on the aircraft, or you can go to a heading up mode or back to a north up mode. Scroll wheel, scroll in, scroll out, and that's pretty much that. So great feature just to show where you are when you're taxiing around. And I like to just select the smallest size and have it down there. Another feature that I want you to be aware of is the ability to save your flights. So from the main menu, come down to simulation situations. Why? Because I see far too many posts where people say they've been flying for 7 hours and systems crashed or whatever's happened, and they've no way to recover it. That's a real shame. So I save my flights quite regular, and I just use a name comprised of letters and numbers that puts the latest one to the top. So I'm just going to save this one now. But if when I go away now to go about my day, I want some auto saving going on. So situations, auto save, switch that on, and then let's have a look at the options. So what do these mean? Well, it will save every 15 minutes and it will keep 3 of them. If I go to situations, you'll see that as I've been recording this morning, it started to do the auto saves amongst my copies as well, because it's arranged in date and time order. Let's go. So we're using the click spot that sets your takeoff power.
Thrust reference, VNAV speed on, LNAV on. Auto throttle hold.
Checked.
VNAV speed, thrust reference.
Checked. Okay, autopilot.
Autopilot engaged.
Climb 2. Flat 1. Flaps up. So 10,000 feet check, so landing lights are now off, turn off lights off, taxi light is off. Just got the beacon and strobe light on. Altimeters, passing now 11,300 my side, your side, and on the standby. Just a reminder as well, so we're at transition. Set to standard, and then sync it to the first officers. It's just that click spot. So another setting I'd like you to be aware of is this one here, use throttle block. So the manual on this says, when the auto throttle stops being in control, i.e. it disconnects or it goes into hold mode, the virtual thrust levers in the cockpit will be blocked at their last position. So I've just put the ghost levers on so that we can illustrate this a bit better. So that's the position of my hardware, that's the actual position of the throttles in the sim. So when they go into hold, unless you've got throttle block enabled, the power is going to revert back and it's going to command this power here, which is of course why some people, as per this Discord post, were experiencing loss of power on the takeoff roll. So in addition to showing the hardware as the ghost levers, this option now is quite useful. So show hardware levers as both. What you're going to get on there is a representation where your thrust levers are on the upper ICARs as well as the ghost throttles. But what I tend to set it to now is just on the ICARs there. So it's no longer got the ghost throttles, but I can see where my position of my hardware. If I move this forward until I match the throttles, it turns white, and then I can actually move the throttles forward. And that's exactly like what you can do in the real aircraft. I've seen them do it as well when I've been in the flight deck on the 737. So I'm just going to show you how you can take some settings from a previous flight into a new flight. So this is useful, for example, in the flight deck setup, as you're going to see now. I choose to have the welcome widget shown, and the cold and dark type is set to ready. Okay, so aircraft is loaded and is currently being powered from the ground power supplies. So to load these settings from a flight, I'm going to go Simulation, Situations. So this flight 93D1 was saved in New York. So before we load that, I'm going to go Options and choose the load mode to no position. Go back, load it. When it loads, the welcome widget will say what you are loading, and note it to say it will not include the aircraft position. That bit is important. So when I did save this in New York, it was daylight. So I'm just going to switch on the dome light, turn that up, and the settings I've now got. So window heats are on, left and right engine bumps are on, logo lights on, etc. It's loaded in the same settings for the EFISers, so the VORs, my side, first officer's side, range rings, and I did a few items down here as well, such as switching on all three radios and setting the transponder to 2000. So that's just to raise a bit more awareness of that feature. Hopefully you'll go out, try it, and you'll find it useful. So here we are on the approach to Manchester. I've just disconnected the autopilot and manually controlling the throttles as well. Of course, on a triple you can leave the auto throttles engaged. Just a bit high there of glide slope. So we're going to be landing on runway 5 right. So we'll just correct that rate of descent. Wind's dying off a bit, still 15 knots.
500.
This is where I'm going to on Friday to do a bit of plane spotting.
400.
Go both the north and south side of the airfield. 12 knots now on the nose.
300.
About 56% needed. So I've got 3 reds.
200.
No drama. We just bring the nose up a bit and now bring it back down again. Water brake settings 2.
100.
50, 40, 30, 20.
Need to find the centre line,
10.
don't we? Reverses. At 60, we stow the reverses. And I'm going to take this taxiway just here. So, auto brake, that's manual braking. And with it being uphill, it does a bit of the work for us.
Approaching 2, 3, left.
Okay, we have exited the runway, don't need to stop the chrono, it's down there but 7 hours 35. Speed brake lever down, and we'll start to retract the flap. Okay, I know that you all like to replay your landings, but this system works a bit different on the FlightFactor 777 series. So from main menu, simulation, and then general sim. Make sure you've got save replay selected and the length of time. I just whack it up to the maximum of 30 minutes and I haven't noticed any impact on performance. Just a bit of post-flight data then. So first off, hopefully you've found those tips and tricks useful. So we spent a significant amount of the flight at flight level 340. I noticed that the temps got colder as we flew away from Asia, warming up again, and then we made a climb up to flight level 360, where effectively was a repeat of what you saw earlier, so got cooler again. And then this chart, really like the design on this. As a recap, the blue line just shows you the wind speed. Doesn't show the direction. This is where this orange line comes in, and this just shows whether this was a headwind or tailwind. So further apart, it's good news. So that's a tailwind when it's in negative, especially. But as you would expect on a flight that's heading westerly, these lines are close together, and that's just indicating that we had a headwind for most of that flight. So just one final question for you all. You probably noticed the iCars when we took off said fuel in centre, so generally that's indicating that you haven't got the centre pump switched on. Why? So hopefully you've enjoyed this video, especially the tips and tricks. Do like, subscribe, and I will see you soon on a future video. Take care, bye bye.